I want to acknowledge something that I don't think many people are really right now. And it has to do with AI. And that is how much we've all, who, especially those that are engaged, I think there are a lot, I don't know what the stats are right now, but fallen into the well of artificial intelligence. And I'm definitely in support of learning about things and being in the know, especially as it relates to how many things it's impacting, right? Not just the workforce and how we earn money, but also the environment and also how we're communicating and how we're connecting. I feel like it's taken a little bit of a dip, or maybe it's just summertime, but I do think it's also having its own backlash, which I think is really, really powerful. And it also started, I believe, with Gen Z. Yeah, Gen Z, about being in person and being without devices. So I do believe that's going to continue as well because humans like to course correct. Our challenge, I believe, is that we swing the pendulum so far that because we're so used to the adrenaline rush, I think. And yeah, it's just the interesting thing of being in a human experience and what the personality and all those things put into the mix. And also, we're being driven by, big billionaire people, entities. And so, what I wanted to share about it was that I have been on an entrepreneur path. I have been a leader of others for a very long time, and I've never really done too much work solo, and it's not really my strength for many reasons I won't get into in this video, but I'm aware of it. And so AI, initially ChatGPT, very much became a creative partner for me. And what was so like fantastical about it, I think, from the beginning was the pace and was being able to be in the reflection. And I know a lot of people say, oh, they're just telling you what you want to hear. And there was probably some of that for sure, which I don't think is a bad thing because I don't think we actually get enough of that as humans. That being said, it was really profound to be able to have a space to get the rapid ideas that I do have that I can't really track like I used to and capture like I used to. And I don't think that's just age. I think it's just the inundation. And if you've ever heard of strength finders, one of my top five is input. And my number one is activator, which means I am usually taking action. But input is like the person who likes to take in a lot, who studies, who clips things, who tears sheets. I mean, I had a stack of things I tore out of the New York Times when I was reading that magazine every weekend. And for a long time, I had an idea of what I wanted to do with it, but I ended up letting it go. And it's just one of my things. And that can get definitely saturated in AI. And what I wanted to share was the opportunity that I think we have to stay mindful of our relationship, to be in conscious relationship with artificial intelligence. You can't solve the conundrum by yourself. And I don't think you should feel guilty for using tools. I caught a video yesterday of a woman who was very angry and looks like she's doing some really cool shit in her life, and she's very anti. And I guess aside from like racism and sexism, and I don't really even move from that position, I'm not sitting in an anti place because I don't feel like that is energy that is able to help us move. I think it's effective for certain things for sure and has a time and a place from my perspective. And the reason why I'm saying that is that I think it is important to have an opinion, but I also don't think that if you're participating with these tools, you should feel bad or hide it. And I'm not just saying that because I'm using it. I'm not just trying to like make it okay for myself. I really wanted to share it because I am also wanting to be mindful of how much, and this started happening for me probably a few months ago. And it was probably related to, I was in a bit of a rut and a funk. And so I was just stagnant. I felt like I couldn't, nothing was coming. And it was having me see, actually, I was having experiences where I was like, not spinning out, but like not going anywhere with AI and just getting frustrated in every situation, which was very much a reflection of the space that I was in. But it was eye opening and it was actually kind of helpful to recognize that these tools are reflecting our state often. And the way to become really skillful at using them is to really learn the prompt and to learn. That's that conscious relationship, actually, because you can drift off into just basically having a conversation with yourself, which again, I'm not judging. I think humans so much need a better relationship with their self. And I think our entire planet would look very different if we were taught how we became who we are and how important that is and how that primary relationship with ourself is actually should be our number one relationship. And I don't think most people have that at all for a number of reasons, not because of their own defect or missing some chip. It's because of how we've socialized in this country, in this human race, as far as I understand it to date, and continuing to exponentially grow. I follow a woman named Mariah Brunner, and I really like her. She's I don't know, maybe 30 something young woman, super bright, worked at some of the tech companies, already has created businesses with her husband before the AI boom, and now she's teaching AI. And she's just got a really, really nice way about her. She's very generous, and I am participating in a 30-day challenge with her, and I can't really pace with it, but I am receiving a lot, and it's teaching me how much there is available to decide how I want to use it, but you can't decide how you want to use it unless you know what's possible. And it is overwhelming. It is a lot, and it is like being on the end of a fire hose. So the woman that I mentioned earlier that was like sharing a post very angry, I really felt that. Sorry, that hair was tickling me. I really felt that, and I appreciated her for just using her voice. And she's pretty much pissed off at anyone probably participating with any of the tools, and that's her prerogative. I just really wanted to own that I'm in my own discovery, and it feels like just like another relationship. I do think a lot of people are this is my opinion, I'm not going to give case studies, but I think a lot of people are overbuilding with it, but you can't learn it and know what it's possible if you don't dig into it. And I think we're going to have all kinds of issues because when you participate, you become part of the experiment. And we already know that these people that build these companies and have all this money do a lot of stuff using our information, and the average person doesn't really know, because again, unless it's your expertise, it would probably blow a brain cell because it's just so much to try to take in. But what really had me pause today was when I started to think about having that conversation, that creative conversation, and what was my default. And if I were to think about what was my default before, and I want to be honest and say that I don't know that I had one often. And I think that's where we would turn into like another thing. Whether it was like, for me, it was like giving all of my energy and all of my brilliance and all of my expertise and all of my, like, I'm a very driven, powerful woman, and giving all of that to everybody else's vision and causes. Because I'm conditioned here too about producing and worthiness and value and commerce and production, and also because I derive a lot of satisfaction. I think it's more that I like to learn. I love to learn, and I've been able to learn a lot, but the scales have tipped so far many years ago. And that doesn't have me slighting anything I've been a part of, because I've had so many powerful, literally, like I forget, like, just a sidebar for a second, because this is something that maybe I could offer that we all do. And I'm especially speaking to women because I feel like we were born into a society that has already kind of clipped our wings, if you will. And that is that I remember when I went to LACMA, Los Angeles County Museum of Art, over a decade ago, and I was sitting at the bar at the restaurant that's now been totally remodeled recently. It's amazing. I was sitting at the bar, I think it was called Ray's Stark Bar, and I started talking with a gentleman, and he was asking me questions about myself, and I had seen him there a lot. You couldn't miss him. He always had a cowboy hat on. Anyways, we started chatting, friendly, and I started hearing myself tell him about my life. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I've had a really cool life. And not that I don't appreciate my life, but I've also compared that I didn't get to have children, and I didn't have my dream fairy tale love affair, and all those things that we've been sold as like, this is the good life. This is the way your life should be. And that's how social media started, like showing this perfect version of life that then you feel like shit if that's not your life. And it's just all made up. Like, I'm not knocking anybody if that's what you really want, but to me, it's so, in a way, boring, because it's all made up. It's all been scripted, whether it was intended to or not. I think some of it was, and there's lots of people that are also still trying to script it for women. A lot of these very religious people. And my point, though, is that I really hadn't heard about my own life in a long time. This was like over a decade ago. So recently, as I'm building a business and really learning how to create streams of income and almost build that portfolio career that I really believe is the future, is happening already now for people that have got on it, like those early adopters. And it's powerful. It's a powerful way to stay feeling free and agent and having sovereignty in this physical world. Because I think sovereignty is an inside job. It has nothing to do with anything material. But when you have the material support, it helps you to function more in this world and not be so distracted by the groupthink consciousness. So I did this exercise, which I've named my Genius Genesis, and I spelt Genesis with a J because my name is Jennifer. And I literally did this huge timeline, and I just wrote down everything I can remember from like the year that I graduated college until now. And it was all about my contributions, my career, my experiences living in Japan, my different vocational and scholastic and academic trainings, including yoga teacher training in 2014 and 15, all of it. And then it was like on this big piece of butcher paper that I happen to have, and I have this huge mirror in my big living area, and I had it taped to that. It was covering that for 2 months. I had it on there for 2 months because the next step of the exercise was for me to go through and answer basically five main questions, which I don't have them off the top of my head right now, but it was really focusing on like, why is this standing out? Like, because I captured it, right? What is it about this? What was the big outcome? What was the big learning? What skill did I sharpen? What were the big takeaways? Something to that effect. But there were these five questions that I was like letting guide me. And I put those questions at the top of the butcher paper, and all that stuff sat there. And just yesterday, I went through the exercise, and it was about an hour and 20 minutes. And then I dumped this, going back to AI, I dumped this transcript because I recorded it into the voice recorder on my phone. And I wanted to see, my intention, I was very clear about this, was I want to own my power. Because knowing you're powerful and owning your power are two different things. And the owning the power is where it gets shown externally. And when we're living in a world that has a lot of ideas and constructs that have limited us, that we unconsciously bought into and have created lives around, it's hard. It can be hard and challenging to change that, to center yourself, especially when there's all kinds of like norms in your generation. Like don't be self-important, don't be conceited, a lot of stuff like that. And I knew that if I did this exercise and I looked at my experience from a like 100-foot view, I would see new things. So, maintaining that and everything, there's more to come. I haven't finished it. I just put that together, and I'm looking at also sorry if I'm shouting, it's like there's a plane and I don't know how well these microphones, this headset is taking sound, and I'm trying not to edit so much. I'm still at that beginning stage of like analyzing what I found, but when I did share the questions, I created all that. I didn't ask AI to like create this exercise. I created it, and then I actually put it into Gemini because I started the discussion there, and I don't pay for Gemini, and it was interesting what it gave me, but I put it then into Claude, who has a lot more history on me, who I've been building more with, and I haven't really dipped into Claude Code or Cowork yet. That's brand new, and that's why I joined Mariah's challenge. So just to give you a idea of, how much I'm using or what I know. And it was so powerful what it reflected back to me, because I was sharing, this is my ideal scene of what I want to, how I want to be able to extrapolate articulate, powerful copy that is my words and is truthful and allows me to own and not get caught up in all of the qualifiers, because I can't tell you I've had a 6 or 7 figure launch, and meanwhile I'm like, and I think so many women that are starting businesses we live in that, because that's what's being highlighted on social media of like, oh, I have to wait until I have enough, proof of concept. Well, your experience, like I have been advising C-suite leaders for 15, 20 years inside organizations. It's still part of I'm not going to go get testimonials from all of them because it was private, and probably at least half of them would never want to own it. That's what I was being leveraged and used for. And it was also often part of the role that I was in, for sure. My point though is not just to like, I'm using myself, I'm sharing about myself as this is unfolding for me as a case study and as an inspiration for you. And what I'm a little surprised that I went to this place. I wasn't planning on it, but I want to circle back as I wrap this up around AI. And that is that I think when I got into that rut, I realized that I don't want to, first of all, I care about my critical thinking. I care about my own inner attunement and alignment. And I haven't stopped that. But if I am, because I've been a solopreneur and I'm looking forward to not being a solopreneur, I'm looking forward to having people and team and collaborate in partnerships. And that's my intention by the end of this year, that I have seeded some powerful partnerships and I have at least two people that are working with me and for me, that I'm very mindful and in conscious leadership of how I am using AI, and that however I might use them for any automation, that I have a checks and balance. It's kind of like how we don't really manage our money. Like, unless you were like born learning how to balance your checkbook, and I wonder what the percentage of people actually does that. We just trust these systems with our money, right? Well, to me, too much of that is what leads to not feeling secure, not feeling safe inside yourself. And that's also like why we abdicate it to people and our partners. And not only is that just doesn't really work, but that's not our partner's job. Even if that's your agreement, nobody can fill that for you as an individual. And I say this with a lot of experience with my studies and my relationships, and just I've been studying the psychosocial dynamic of human behavior for over 25 years. I also share it from personal experience because of what I know I did not get as a kid for a couple reasons that were significant. I share it in different videos, but I have been looking for a long time. It started to shift about 5 years ago, but I have to watch it. I just recently had a huge aha that I was like waiting for something. I didn't consciously know that, but I was waiting for something to come and help me stand tall in my Heal Your Part movement. And it's like, I don't believe that Oprah was built by herself as an example. I do think greatness does require team and support. And I mean, we are not omnipotent. We are human beings, and we're, in many ways, in my opinion, very, very fragile. And we're also capable of like unbelievable things. So that part of us that tends to just pretend like we just, oh, I'll get to it. Like, that's what I really want to help shift. And I want to continue to walk my own talk. So when I sat here today and I was like thinking about creativity, I thought, wow, I want to like open up one of these apps and pull up my last thread, which, yeah, makes sense. And I also just want to make sure I don't do that all the time. I want to make sure that I'm being a dead horse now, beating a dead drum. I don't like dead horses. Conscious leadership. And also, this is a little bit of intending to be permission. Like, do not make yourself wrong if you're using, however you're using AI, because I do think that unless you're going to go live on a ranch, which, by the way, that's awesome, but unless you're going to go live on a mountaintop or on a ranch or not really use all this stuff, not having a working knowledge and understanding of it, I would offer is not, it's not setting yourself up for success. It's not giving you, it's like, yeah, there's so many analogies I could use, but I think it's pretty clear what I'm saying. And I'm not passing judgment if you choose not to. I'm just sharing that that's what I'm learning right now. And I cannot pace with it. I'm probably using a tenth of the tools out there. And I plan to use and learn more. But I also plan to be really mindful of, even after I use something, is this necessary? Because I also don't feel the need to like have only robots working with me at all. This idea of what they were saying that apparently they're now taking back, how it's going to get rid of all these jobs and all these layoffs. It's like, how much money do they fucking need? Like, you, you don't have to turn every job into a robot. But, you know, we're living in a time right now where we have an administration that has provided like the grand example of devaluing a human being for profit. And that's giving people a lot of permission. And by the way, like I said at the beginning, that pendulum is going to swing. So I like to find my middle left, but my middle ground, my conscious, like, where am I on all this? I don't feel the need to participate in the reactivity, but it's hard. So thank you for listening. If you're new to me, my name is Jennifer, and I have been here intending every day, but I haven't been. So almost every day, because I want to be the person that reminds you that your truth is your power. So trust yourself and watch your life transform. Until next time.